What are you to do, sir? You want peace, and I want peace. I don't want to have a single breath of conflict in me at any time, sleeping or waking. What am I to do? Respond to the challenge of life. Please, would you ask that question yourselves, my question to you, which I've put to you? Do you really want to live at peace with yourself, which means no conflict? I will repeat again, you cannot live without violence. It's only an idea that you want to live without violence. No, it's not an idea. But it's an idea that you want to live without violence. Please, sir, I've lived in conflict all my life. I haven't personally, but it doesn't matter. I've lived with conflict with my wife, with my children, with my society, with my boss, with everything. And I say to myself, is there a way of living in which there is no conflict? It is not an idea. Sorry, but this question is the most important thing. The most important thing is to see the violence. Is not the most important thing. That takes time. No, we've been through that, sir. We've discussed the nature of violence. We've been into that. And I'm putting the same question differently. I want to live in this world, not as an idea, but actually every minute of my life, I want to live in a different way, in which there is no conflict, which means no violence. Will you put this... Can we have 10 minutes of silence? No, please, first put the question to yourself. If I'm not mature enough, then it is impossible to put this question. Then why aren't you mature? Who's going to make you mature? I am not mature. But sir, that is not my question. Put that question, see what happens. Find out that you are immature. We are avoiding the question, that's all. Shouldn't it be a question for everyone? And everybody should keep the answer to himself? Keep it to yourself. I'm not asking you to tell me. Put it and find out what your answer is. Find out how far you will go. How far you will go to live peacefully. At the same moment as you realise deep in yourself that this whole world leads nowhere, in fact this realisation brings in yourself a stop. It's really quite an extraordinary phenomenon, sir, this, isn't it? You're all so ready to answer, which means that you have not really put this question to yourself. Perhaps you dare not put the question. But I have to start with something I've heard, something someone said about a different state. But all I see is the conflict. I don't know if there's a way out. Yes, sir, but that's not my point. My point is, you have lived in conflict, and don't you ask yourself, is that the only thing I have to live for? Conflict. Put that question to yourself, sir. Don't answer me, put this question to yourself. But we're discussing. Of course, sir, we're discussing, but first put this question. See what happens to you, then find out what your response is. That's a lovely idea. When I won't discuss it. We don't know enough. Have you ever put this question to yourself? You know what conflict is, not as an idea, but what actually takes place when you quarrel with your wife or husband, when you are frightened of the boss, when you are frightened of every kind of thing, there is conflict. And have you asked yourselves if it is possible to live without conflict, not as an ideal, but actually? Can you divide your soul from your body? This is a question which is not relevant to the point. Look, I'm asking you, do please have the goodness to listen. Humanity has lived in conflict for centuries. Is that the way to live? If it is, then all right, let's go on. If it is not, then is there a way of living in which there is no conflict at all? Put that question to yourself, not as an idea, but as a thing that you want to find out. We don't know. Madame, I'm not saying you should know. Put that question, see what you find out. Our mind is conditioned, so how can we know? It is not a different state that you wanted it to achieve, but here I am in conflict, and is there a way out of it? I think there's only conflict between persons, you and another person or a group of people, and when you study them, when you are the other person, see what they are trying to do, what you're trying to do, see the whole thing dispassionately, this will produce an easier situation. It may not remove conflict, but it's a step towards it. Sir, put the question the other way. Don't you want to stop wars, which means, don't you want to live peacefully every day to put an end to war? But just as all wars are fought to end wars, isn't the desire to end conflict the prime generator of conflict? That is one of the old sayings, sir. This war is not like the last war. It is the war to end all wars. You understand? It is to end all wars, you understand? Do you have a method for ending war? Sir, what a question to ask. You have heard me often, haven't you, sir? You asked, do you want to end war? So I asked, do you have a method? But you have heard me often, haven't you, sir? Yes, sir. Therefore, you will find the answer if you have heard me. Sir, whichever ways one's mind moves, when you ask yourself that question, then you see that the protection the mind makes is not going to give the answer. Look, how far are you willing to go to have peace in your life? All the way. What does that mean? That means to end conflict, doesn't it? Now, how do you end conflict? Keep it very simple, sir. How do you end conflict in yourself and live ordinarily? Is it possible? All I can say is that it has not been possible. Why? Go into it, sir. Don't answer me necessarily. I don't want to quarrel with you, so I'll stop quarrelling. Wait. I'll quarrel with you because you want my wife, or I quarrel with you because you want my position. I quarrel with you because I'm jealous of you. I quarrel with you because you're much more intelligent than I am, and so on. Am I willing to stop quarrelling with you altogether? Willing to do it? When you run away with my wife, I won't quarrel with you. But quarrelling is inside the mind as well as outside. I'm talking of inside, not outside. I don't control my thought stream. No, sir, it doesn't bang into you, so I have to understand myself, right? I don't want to quarrel with you under any circumstance. I want to live peacefully with you. If you want my shirt, I'll give it to you. Fortunately, I have no property, and if you want that property, you can have it. But I won't quarrel with you. If you want to come and set on the platform and sit there, you're welcome. I won't quarrel with you. I'm not ambitious. I'm not greedy. I don't want any of these things because I don't want to quarrel with you. To me, what is important is not to quarrel. Therefore, the other things subside. To quarrel like so many monkeys, like animals, is uncivilized, immoral in a deep sense. I feel that very strongly. Therefore, I'll do it. Sir, it all boils down to one thing. How deeply, how fundamentally do we want to live without violence? How deeply do we want to live at peace with each other? We may say we want it, but actually, and that's why it's very important to go with oneself, to find out the nature and the structure of one's being. Therefore, one has to know oneself. Perhaps we can discuss the question of knowing oneself tomorrow, 14th of August 1967.